Hello ladies and gentlemen, Willie here. Have you ever heard the tale of Alterac Valley, a battleground remembered for its size and the push and pull between the forces of the Alliance and the Horde? Nowadays though, not so much. It's in quite a sad and sorry state. The stories people would tell in the past, single battlegrounds lasting for hours upon hours, days in some cases, long affairs of epic proportions, people playing an AV all day, going to work or waking up the next day, coming back and being matched up with a whole lot of familiar names and a battleground panel showing just how many hours it had been going on for. The wars raged in the frigid battlefield to take objectives around towers, bunkers and graveyards, different players filling out roles as the hours passed, attackers, defenders, the coordinated pushes, the tactical retreats, the big calls being made. Many thousands of honour and reputations being earned in a single battleground as well, not to forget the huge bonus waiting for you at the end when you finally take down the faction leader. But today I can sum up Alterac Valley for both factions in one sentence. 1 hour plus Q, 1% chance to win, and you already know which applies to which faction. It wasn't all just player driven that made the old AV be the stuff of legends. The battleground itself was fundamentally completely different from what it is today. Want to see the patch notes from when AV was introduced in 1.5 to its latest update in vanilla, which was 1.11? Here you go. Quite a list. To cover some of the more important and impactful changes, we have things like the loot tables being removed from the summonable bosses. You thought SGC was a pain, imagine if your best in slot came from one of these guys. Now that would be a whole other level. Patch 1.8 was the real game changer, with the graveyard spawns being moved off the flag to prevent Zerg strats, and the valley being narrowed. Korak and the crew moving from the Field of Strife up to Snowfall Graveyard as their new home, and players had to take him out if they wished to claim this graveyard. Iceblood was fortified and landmines were also removed from the battleground, giving players much easier mobility around all areas of the map. Patch 1.10 came more big changes, with reputation gain improvements being made, Korak being totally removed from the battleground, making Snowfall going from a big point of contention to easily cappable by one single player. Finally, in patch 1.11 we saw less interaction with NPCs and guards throughout the battleground, as the majority of them were removed, as well as more overall nerfs to the PvE aspects of the battleground, which leaves us with AV as it is today. All the obstacles and the hard fought pushes removed, full free movement throughout the battleground, without any of the changes that came in to try and rebalance AV later down the line in TBC, which included map changes, PvE aspects being modified, and reinforcements as a secondary win condition objective, aside from just taking out the enemy leader. But how is it just so incredibly hard for the Alliance to win? Are Horde really just that much better in non-organised PvP? Let's try and find out. And what better way to do so than asking the good people of Azeroth what they think? So let's go play some AV, shall we? After a terrible 6-minute queue, can you believe I had to wait that long? Shocking, really. I was in the valley. And what did my fellow Alliance players think as to our very low win rate? I had some interesting answers, shall we say. Not exactly what I was looking for either. Over on the red side, I queued up, and it being a Friday late afternoon/evening, by the time I'd got in the game at least, I thought this would be one of the times where the queues would be at their shortest. Well, at least I can say the estimated time is about correct, and after only nearly 2 hours, I was in Alterac Valley. What did the Horde players attribute to their dominance in this battleground? I got the answer that I think is the biggest contributing factor after about 3 seconds. A number of people echoed this too. The Horde seemed far more self-aware of what the deal is here. So we had quite a variety of answers. I think that's a good starting point to go off. I'd also like to test this out personally. How about we do a race? Everyone likes a race. Let's see which faction can get to the halfway point of the map first. About where this wreckage is on the Field of Strife. We'll use that as a point of reference. It's close enough to the middle. It's a bit more on the Alliance side, but that should just be an advantage for them, right? Let's meet our two competitors today in the race. Representing the glorious Alliance, we have Chadicus, the
Night Elf Mohawk.
Chadicus rolled Night Elf because he don't care about your weapon skill or your useful racials. He does front flips. Can you do that, Gnome? Didn't think so. And for the Savage Horde, we have Zugmeister, who is an orc warrior. because he's a basic bitch. The rules are simple, no riding skill items or other speed boosts, both use 100% mounts, first to the wreckage in a field of strife wins. 3, 2, 1, and the gates are open. And what's this? Chadicus has instantly popped rocket boots to get out the gates faster. I'm pretty sure that's against the rules. Whatever, he's off now. Zugmeister appears to be taking things a little bit more casually over on the Horde side, and Chad is absolutely powering ahead now. But what's this? A 60% mount from Zugmeister? What do you mean you just bought Lionheart? I said get 100% mount for this. Oh well, it's too late now, the race is underway. Chad is surely massively ahead with all of these advantages. Well, this hasn't turned out to be such a fair race after all. Look at how much the Alliance has to cheat to try and win. I bet he arrives there way before the Horde does. Saying that, it does look a little more even than I had expected, but surely it's not going to be that close, right? Let's fast forward this thing a little bit and check out our results at the end here, shall we? Well, it looks as though the Alliance timed in at about 1 minute and 21 seconds or so. Not too bad. Considering using a cheeky speed boost at the start and having an epic mount, how did the Horde fare with all of their clear disadvantages? Well, with walking out of the starting gate and using a 60% mount, the Horde made it there in about 1 minute and 18 seconds. Wait, what? I thought the Alliance would have been at least a little bit ahead, but wow, even I'm surprised at this. Well, that's quite the difference. Horde are playing with a head start, as they indeed pointed out when I asked them. What if I gave Mr. Zugmeister the epic mount and the speed boost at the start too though? Here's the result. I had to skip a little bit at the start, but I've added a few seconds on to make up for it, and it's about 1 minute flat to get to the same point. Here is a map of Alterac Valley from patch 2.4 compared to our current one today. Can you see one big old difference here? This is the Horde starting cave now, and this is it in 2.4. In-game, visually, this is where it would have been at the moment, and in 2.4 it's moved all the way back. Wait for it. We're getting there. Just about, there we go. Okay, all the way back here. That's a long distance extra to go. You know what else? The Griffin Masters on the Alliance side go past pretty much every single graveyard and choke on the way back to the base. They kind of have to, that's the way the map's set up. On the Horde side, they take a more scenic and safe route. Also, you know the Shamans for the Horde and the Druids that summon big bosses into AV? The Horde Shamans have some big brain idea where they're a bit concealed just away from the field of strife behind a snowbank, as well as having some trees covering the area where they do a summoning, so they're a bit hidden, you know. You know where the absolute genius Druids go on the Alliance? A nice ditch right in the open of the field of strife. Perfect spot for summoning, nothing bad will possibly happen or stop us from doing this here. Or when the Horde die and they go back to Iceblood Graveyard, which has an overlook to attack players who have to funnel between a wall. By the way, walls in AV, totally just a suggestion. Just spam tab and shoot straight through them, easy. And then there's a tower on their right with archers, and if the Horde do lose Iceblood Graveyard, they spawn at their closest graveyard, which is their starting cave about a stone's throw away, which makes capping IBGI very difficult when their nearest actual graveyard will be back at Frostwolf, which is nearer to the TBC starting cave. If you die as Alliance while Stonehearth is capped, they go all the way back to Stormpike as their closest graveyard, which is miles off Stonehearth, especially when it's through an uphill choke, to the point where it's near impossible to take back. And the Alliance starter cave is even further back than this graveyard, which is already miles away. All in all, Alterac Valley is a real clown fiesta. The awful win rates and long queues are just a result of how set up to heavily favour one faction over the other. I will say though, there are plenty more rankers in Alterac Valley on the Horde than Alliance, and on average they do overall have higher rank players. Also, if you're waiting this long for a queue, I don't think you're just going to start going AFK at a moment's notice. Horde certainly do try harder and communicate more. It's just, well, there are a few other factors giving them quite the leg up, to the point where it feels almost embarrassing if you actually lose on the Horde side. And then there's the whole class balance talk again, where over 50% of a team is made up of 2 classes. Imagine joining an AV and seeing 10 warriors, or 12 warriors, or how about my personal favourite AV so far, where the enemy faction had a team comp made up of mage, 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 warrior, 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 and a druid? Aren't they the NPCs that summon Ivus? That must have been a misclick. And I know the ranking gear is great for these two classes and they're a lot of fun to play in PvP, but yeah, this is showing why you should probably think about rebalancing classes at some point throughout, I don't know, at any point during the expansion. I know I don't appear for a whole year and then I do twice in 2 weeks. At least I'm consistent, right? I was going to do this video a lot more kind of serious, but in the end I just decided to have some fun with it because I think there's a lot of people being quite rose-tinted about how AV is and how AV could have been in Classic, because even if we had Korak or landmines back or the extra guards with all their health and damage, I don't think it changes the fact that Battleground is just fundamentally not very well designed, and I wouldn't expect to see a fairly even Alterac Valley until the sweeping changes come in the Burning Crusade. It's just been worked out these days, like many other areas of the game. Players are so much more methodical and efficient, and yeah, AV is showing it's a bit rough around the edges as well. I suppose the point is to not leave content on a hill to die, especially when it could have had such a legacy attached to it. I don't know where this could potentially apply in TBC, but I think it's something to think about, because there is no way at all the current state of AV is in any way dev intended. Back when there was pre-mades for the Alliance, that was about 2 months or so, and now I believe we're closing in about 7 months of this situation we have at the moment, where the Alliance, you see pictures of people going from neutral to exalted without a single win, and on the other side you see horde queues which only pop on AV weekends or at peak times. It's just not a good situation for either side at the moment. I'll leave the ramble there though. By the way, I was on a podcast the other week with Josh, who does Countdown to Classic, who's firing that up again for TBC, in anticipation of it anyway, so if you want to see me and him talk a bit about how we felt Classic's gone so far, and a bit of TBC speculation, I will link that in the description below for you. All in all, I hope you liked the video, and I will see you all in the next one very soon. If you like what you see, do give the video a like and subscribe, as there will be plenty more to come. Take care guys, and I'll see you in the next one very soon.